Have you ever really thought about the journey your food takes before it gets to your plate? It's an incredible story, you know? Agriculture is actually the world's single largest employer. We're talking livelihoods for about 40% of everyone on the planet. So today, we're going to dive deep into this story, from a tiny seed all the way to the global system that feeds us all.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll get into what agriculture really is. Then we'll check out the essential recipe for a good harvest. After that, we'll explore the two big reasons people farm, to live or to sell. We'll also look at the superstar crops that basically run the world. And finally, we'll compare the two very different worlds of farming that exist today. All right, first things first. Let's get to the root of what agriculture actually means. It's a word we hear all the time, right? But I bet its true scope is way, way wider than you think. See? It is so much more than just planting seeds in the dirt. The official definition covers the whole shebang. Growing crops, sure, but also raising animals, managing forests, and even fishing. It's basically the entire system of how we partner with the natural world to get what we need. And this is exactly why we call it the world's backbone. It's not just about food on the table, it's a massive engine for the global economy. For a lot of developing countries, it is the #1 source of jobs and money. It creates these huge markets for everything, from tractors to fertilizer, and it's a major player in international trade. So now that we know what we're talking about, let's get into the how. What does it actually take to grow our food? It's not just about working hard. There's a very specific recipe for success. You know, farming is really this fascinating dance between nature and us. On one side, you've got nature's rules, the physical stuff. You need the right kind of land, the right climate, the right soil. But then you have our rules, the economic side. You need the land itself, people to work it, and the money or capital to make it all happen. You need both to succeed. Okay, so we've seen the ingredients that affect farming. But the way people farm, well, that can be totally different. It really boils down to two very different goals, two fundamental approaches to the whole thing. And here they are. Subsistence versus commercial. Think of it like this. Are you farming to live or are you farming to sell? Subsistence is all about survival, growing just enough to feed your family, usually on a small scale with everyone pitching in. Commercial farming, though, is a business. It's about growing as much as possible to sell for a profit, using huge machines and modern tech. And even inside that farming to live world, there are some really distinct styles. You have nomadic herding, which is a life constantly on the move with your animals. Then there's shifting agriculture, often called slash and burn, where you clear a piece of land, farm it till the soil's tired, and move on. And then you have intensive subsistence, which is all about getting every last bit of food you can from a small plot of land. Now, flip over to the commercial side, and it's a whole different ballgame. It's all about specialization and scale. Extensive agriculture means massive fields and giant machines. Plantations are huge farms dedicated to one single cash crop, like coffee or tea. You've got livestock ranching for meat and wool on a massive scale, and of course, dairy farming, which is all about producing milk. Okay, we've covered the how. Now for the really tasty part, the what. Let's take a little peek inside our planet's pantry and see the essential crops that the world basically runs on. You know, for all the thousands of different plants we grow, you can pretty much sort every major crop into one of three simple buckets. You've got your cereals, which we eat, your fibers, which we wear, and your beverages, which we drink. Simple as that. And what's so cool is that each of these crops is, well, kind of picky. They all have their own specific wish list. Rice, for example, is super thirsty and loves warm weather. Wheat likes things a bit cooler. And then you have millets, which are the tough guys. They can grow in pretty poor soil, which makes them a lifesaver in tougher climates. And it's the exact same story for the things we wear and drink. Cotton is a total sun worshiper. It loves the heat. And look at jute and tea. They need a ton of rain to thrive. It just goes to show you, every crop has its own perfect little home somewhere on the planet. All right, for our last section, let's look ahead. Farming isn't some ancient practice stuck in the past. It's constantly changing to keep up with our growing world. And that's creating two very, very different worlds of farming. So here's the big challenge for modern agriculture. How in the world do you grow more food for more people, usually on the same amount of land? Well, the answer is development. It's about using science and tech to get smarter. We're talking about special high-yield seeds, massive and efficient machines, and even cutting-edge biotechnology. And this table right here, it tells the whole story. It's really a tale of two farms. On one side, you have a typical farm in a developing nation like India. It's probably a small plot of land, worked really hard by the family, and the food is sold at a local market. Now, look at the US side. We're talking huge farms, tons of investment in machinery, very few people working there, and the crops are sold all over the world. A completely different picture.
So where does that leave us? From a single seed to this massive, complex global system. But the story is far from over. With our population getting bigger and tech like AI and biotech just getting started, it really makes you wonder, what will the farm of the future actually look like? Something to chew on.